Hello, I'm Safi. Nice to meet you. Let's get started. I hope you enjoyed that video. The settings I used for that first initial hyperlapse was ND32 from Polar Pro, which I do recommend getting an ND filter. ND32 with an f-stop of 10. Now, it's not the best f-stop for the DJI Mavic Pro 2. If I could recommend an ND filter, I would say ND64 if it's really sunny. If it's really sunny, you can get away with ND32. You would have to, and also you can get that really nice motion blur at 1/5 of a second. What I will say is get an ND filter. It's worth it, and it's very, very important when you're shooting. It's sunglasses for your camera, and it will give you the dynamic range and the versatility to shoot in very exposed locations. Now you're outside, your ND filter's on. You go to photos. Once you go to photos, you're going to set it to 1/5 of a second. If it's sunset, you can get away with shooting it with a normal, no ND filter. So let's say you don't have an ND filter. I'm gonna go on a tangent, a little tiny tangent. If you don't have an ND filter, you can shoot during sunset hour. Pick a good location, you don't have much time. This is also a pristine time to do a day to night hyperlapse. Set your shutter speed at 1/5 of a second. I find that to be the best shutter speed to give you sharpness as well as motion blur. So set it at 1/5 of a second. If you want more light, set it to more, but it will blur and distort the rest of your footage. I would not recommend going above 1/4 or 1/5 of a second. Now you have those settings. You don't have an ND filter, but it's nighttime or around dusk or sunset. You will still be able to have good footage because it's not too bright. However, if you want to shoot in daytime, like lakes and whatever, daytime, you need an ND filter. Okay, back to the tutorial. You have your phone, you pop it out. All right, so you have your phone, you're on the app. So make sure you're not in sports mode or in tripod mode. You're in neutral mode. That will activate your fly patterns, whatever they call it. Then hyperlapses is the second option. Once you click hyperlapse, 4 sub options will open. Do not pick free. First one is circle hyperlapse. The circle hyperlapse is pretty simple. If you were shooting the Eiffel Tower, you would fly far enough, select the Eiffel Tower, and it will course lock on it. It will do a perfect 360 circle around it while facing it. All you have to do is move your analog sticks, right or left or up and down, and it will start taking the photos. It's under your control. You can also set speed, so that's cool. Course lock is very awesome too. So imagine the Eiffel Tower being here, and your drone is here. You set course lock, it flies by, you select the location. So when it flies by, it's looking at it the whole time, and it passes it by. That's course lock. It's very cool if you're trying to do kind of a sweeping motion from one side to the next. My favorite is waypoint. Waypoint is simple. You get to choose pictures, and those pictures mark a location on your map. So let's say the Eiffel Tower is here, and you're at the bottom, you take a picture. You go to the middle, you take a picture. You go to the top, you take a picture. There's a button that says reverse or forward. If you press forward, it will go all the way to the bottom. So now it's at the bottom. It's going to start it all the way to the top. However, if you do that, you're wasting battery because you have to go all the way back. Don't do that. Set your waypoints and press reverse. Now the drone is going to go all the way back to the bottom, capturing it in reverse. But that's fine because now you'll have 50% left. That's about where I land, 55 to 45% left of battery after my first hyperlapse. That's around 10 minutes or 11 minutes long. So now you can go back and do a waypoint. So lock your waypoint, and then you could do one of those passing bys, another 10 minutes. So now you have 2 drone hyperlapses with 1 battery That's around 11 seconds long. If you did this correctly, you'll have good motion blur, the clouds will be moving, the cars will be zipping around, and the cars will leave a motion trail, which will make it look really cool. So, let's go on to the next step. Okay, so we are here, and my my drone SD card is inside. We'll click it, and we'll click DCIM. And what's cool, if you have the newest firmware for your drone, it will save it in a hyperlapse folder. Each time you do a hyperlapse, it will have a folder for it. However, it's a little difficult to view these pictures because they're DNG. They're not like JPEG, so it loads for a long time. That's okay. You have Lightroom. That's what Lightroom's for. You open up Lightroom, you go to Library, drag all your DNG folders, all your DNG photos, and you put them in here. Now, you want to be able to make sure when you're editing them, you can have a consistent color. But this is what not the other people are telling you. The other videos that are showing you how to color grade your drone footage are telling you to color grade it here in Lightroom, and I don't think that's smart. You want to give it a D-log, S-log color, meaning flat. Okay, well, it's going to look like crap, yeah. But when you put it into Premiere Pro, you can treat it like a film, like a video. So you can match those colors better and more efficiently in Premiere Pro. The coloring in Lightroom is very advanced compared to Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro is still cool, Lumetri color is awesome, but you will have a heavy hand in Lumetri color, Lightroom, and you will get carried away, and you won't be able to take that back. So my suggestion is, when you go to one of these photos, make it look contrasty. You see the histogram up here? Let's lower the contrast, centralize this data in the middle. We'll lower the blacks to make sure. We'll lower the highlights so we can see the clouds and have information in the clouds all the way. Bring down highlights as much as you can. Now we have a centralized data in the histogram. That means you have data in the highlights and some of the blacks are being crushed. Let's increase the blacks. This is perfect. Now we're going to increase texture and clarity, because you do have a little bit of shaking if it's windy or whatever. So we're going to increase clarity and texture, but not too much where it looks wonky. Okay, you don't mess with the colors, leave the colors alone. Come to sharpening and hold Option on a Mac computer. When you do, you can see what you're sharpening. You want to sharpen only the spots like the buildings and stuff like that. You don't want to sharpen the whole image. It's unprofessional. So you want to sharpen just certain spots. Whenever you hold the Option button, it will show you what you're sharpening. So the buildings and the stuff that are not moving as much are going to be sharp, while the cars are going to still flow and have that trail. I would increase the noise a little bit, and I'm done. Now you want to batch edit all of them. So let's say you command all, you can command all, and this button down here that says sync will pop up. You click sync. Now I'm not going to do this, but just press sync. It syncs all of it, and you could choose what you want. You could take my settings if you want. This is not ideal, but it's fine. Press synchronize, and all of the rest of your images will be matched perfectly to that first image, so you don't have to worry about inconsistency issues. Now you press command all or select the images that you want, and you press file, then you come down to export. Now you have an export dialog pop up. I would recommend for each hyperlapse creating a subfolder, put in subfolder. Hyperlapse 1, Hyperlapse 2, Hyperlapse 3. Use your own discretion when you're naming them. Then you come down to rename to and click custom name sequence or file name sequence, whichever one you want. Now whatever you name it, it will have a number next to it, and that's very important. Having this quality at maximum is probably a good thing. But if you have a slow computer, you can bring it down to 70 or 80 and it won't be noticeable. So you click export. I've already done this. Now, where are they? Hyperlapse 3. So all your hyperlapse files will be in this folder. Now you open up Premiere Pro. You will click File and you will come down to Import. Click Desktop, go to Hyperlapse 3 and click House. Go to the Options button here and click Image Sequence. Once you've done that, you press Import and all your images will be turned into a video clip. And it will look like this. Let's turn off the color grade. Let me turn off the color grade. As you can see, this is the image that we exported out. We edited a few different ones, but once you do put it in there, you will have a video clip, right? So you can just drag the video clip and put it on the timeline, and you will have this flat looking image. I have a video on how to color grade drone footage. That can be used for all purposes. Any footage you have, if you follow that video, I'll put it up here, you can color grade anything. I'm not going to go over that. If you want to watch it, you can go and watch that other tutorial. So we will click here and put the color grade back on. Now it's done. So you have successfully finished creating a hyperlapse. To export, just press N and O to click your in and out points. Go to File, Export, Media. Make sure it's a H.264 file. Oh, another thing. Maybe you're a beginner. These files. Alright, so you have done color grading it and you want to export it. One thing I didn't mention is when you do drag and drop this here, it's going to be at a 100 scale. For instance, this one, 100. It's going to be a huge file. It's going to be 5K. You don't want it to be 5K. It's not gonna. It doesn't have the proper format for Instagram and YouTube and stuff. So what we're going to do is go to Sequence up here. Once we go to Sequence, we go to Sequence Settings. Come down, DNxHR HD. Click that. That one is perfect. It's a good codec. It will be just fine. Press OK. That's 4K quality codec. Then you go to In, press I for in and O for out. File, Export, Media. Now you have your Freeway, whatever name you want to pick. It's an H.264 file. Make sure that's an H.264. You're going to scroll down. Don't touch anything. Click Render at Maximum Depth. Don't touch anything. All the way to down here, Bit Rate Settings. Set this to 100 for a 4K file. Now, if you don't want to do that, you could also set it to 50. That will give you good results. But I set mine to 100. Use a maximum render quality. Make sure this is frame sampling or it's going to mess with your clip. It's going to make it look like wonky. Frame sampling, Q. Once you Q it, then you could just press render and the rest is easy. Oh, I need to get better at giving tutorials, but I hope that helped. So let's sum everything back up. ND filters, very important. You're shooting at 1/5 of a second to cause motion blur. Motion blur is very important, because if you don't do it, it's going to look crappy. You're going to set it at 1/5 of a second. Why? Because if you set it for any higher, it will blur the rest of your objects in the image and lose detail. And once you lose detail, it won't look as good. Number 3, learn the interface on the phone. I showed it to you. Repeat that part of the video as much as possible, so once you learn it, you can do it. Take a deep breath and lift your drone into the air. Make sure you have your surroundings checked, and then contemplate what you're going to do. Click on the flying things. Man, I need to figure out what that's called. Click on Hyperlapse, which is the second one to the right. You will get 4 subcategories at the bottom: free, circle, course lock, and waypoint. I suggest picking the 4th one to the right, the last one. Find your subject or find something that's moving. Take your first picture. Move it to the second location. Move the gimbal around. Take your second picture. Go to the 3rd location, or if 2 is enough for you, that's fine. Press reverse. Select go. At intervals of 2 seconds, let it take a photo up to however long you want. There you go. Thank you for being here in the tutorial. That was difficult for me. I hope that you kept up, and I'm a good teacher. I can explain well. I appreciate your time. Subscribe for more tutorials and type in the comment section if you're having trouble. I can help you. I've gone through all the troubleshooting, and I promise I'll give you good advice. Thank you so much. My name is Safi. Subscribe and have a nice day.